Welcome back to Roseaboveit Reads. I'm Whitney, and today we're going to talk about Pet by Akwaeke Emezi. Pet is a creature that was originally part of a painting made by Jam's mother. Jam was very curious and came in to the studio when her mother was out, and in the process ended up cutting herself, bleeding on the painting, and over a period of time the painting ended up coming to life. In this book, Jam is a transgender girl. Pet is there to hunt evil. But that seems unrealistic to Jam because in the setting here of Lucille, everyone thinks that evil has essentially been eradicated. There was a huge, tumultuous time, similar to what we're dealing with now, where there's a lot of terrible things happening, and the part of their history is angels, both real and human, fought very hard and did terrible things as necessary to get to a place of this utopia in Lucille. And so when this monster comes and says, oh no, there is evil here and I'm going to hunt it, Jam is a little skeptical of that, but so is, everyone else. And so this is the story of Jam and Pet figuring out, where the monster is, hunting that monster, and the resolution of that situation. I saw that this is intended for YA. I think that is fine, but I think it's also fine for middle grade. One of the things I really love about what Akwaeke Emezi does in here is they are incredibly careful with their language. If you think about movies where there are stuff that go over kids' heads but hit the adults, and then the adults start laughing, but the kids laugh about something completely different. There are pieces in here where if you're an older reader, you know the horrible things that they're talking about. But if you're a younger reader who doesn't have experience with those topics, that's fine. You'll just know that there is a horrible thing that existed in the past. And so I think that makes it perfectly fine as a middle grade. There is like one piece that is more explicit, but even then it is off screen as much as possible. Like all the details are really, really fuzzy. And then the other reason why I think it might have been called YA is the amount of LGBTQ rep. And so I wouldn't recommend this necessarily for middle grade students who are going to not understand queer relationships or trans characters. Like if that's going to be distracting to them and they won't be able to appreciate it, then maybe, they should wait until they've got a better basic literacy on LGBTQ circumstances and then come back. But there's nothing really, I don't know. I don't see a reason why this can't be appropriate for especially upper middle grade, and maybe even lower middle grade if the kids have some either first or secondhand experiences with trauma of any sort. I think that this can be incredibly healing. I'm a survivor of some childhood trauma, and it was just... Pet does a really good job of being honest and forthright and sharp, while also being incredibly caring. Let's see. I've marked several pages. This keeping of a secret, it is not a good thing to keep. You are keeping too many, and they do not fit inside your heart. They will keep spaces between you and your humans. Right? Like, it's just so incredibly wise, and a lot to take away into the future. Do not measure, Pet said in her head. A monster is a monster, a hunt is a hunt. It is simple that way. which kind of like plants some seeds against Oppression Olympics. Like, so I'm a survivor, but even during that time, I was downplaying my own experience because I knew that it wasn't as bad as what my mom experienced as a child or what a lot of other people experienced. And so like there's ways in which this book has been incredibly healing for me, and I would like to go back and give this book to my my middle school and high school self. But yeah, so I am planning to give this to my nibbling probably in 5th grade. I think that the other thing that makes this an older book, I think, is the way in which it is written. Jam prefers not to use her voice. She prefers to sign mostly. I'm not sure whether Jam is autistic, but there are ways in which she experiences the world that feels very resonant to me and feels like autistic rep to me, and in a way that highlights the positives and highlights the ways in which it wouldn't have to be that big of a deal if society were just better. That's one of the ways in which Lucille being more of a utopia really came alive for me, because Jam is just respected. Like, Jam is just Jam, and Jam didn't want to talk much, and so her parents were like, hey, here's another language, let's learn sign language. And like, her friend Redemption learned sign language, and so like she signs a lot. She does voice sometimes, and then there's also a telepathic communication with Pet. And so the way that Emezi uses the typography to determine which of those is happening is probably something that's like a more mature stylistic choice. So that's why I'm going to wait until 5th grade to give this to my nibbling. But I have no concerns about doing so. That's just where I stand on audience there. But I also feel like all adults should probably read this, especially with how the ending is handled, which I can't talk about without spoiling it. But because of the way the ending is handled, I want everyone to read this. I'm trying to think of if there's anything I disliked about it. I think I just wanted to have an adult version. Like, it is clearly written for a younger audience, and it's clear from how sharp and perfect that Pet is, that I want this exact same story but with just a little less care. Like, I'm glad that this is written as it is so I can give it to younger people, but I don't know. I'd like to see what Emezi would do with a book that is in the same environment but centers on purely adult characters. But that's not a criticism of this book. It's just, was there anything I disliked? And it was just like, at certain points I was just like, I may be biased against books intended for a younger audience. That's something that I learned about myself. But despite this bias that I was learning about myself, I still gave it 5 stars. Like, it is still probably the best thing I've read in a long time. Currently, it's ranked top on my co-pile, which, as I've discussed, is how I am determining what books to review. Like, when I feel up to doing a review, I will look at my co-pile list for the past, I think probably for the year. Like, I'll probably just start fresh in 2021. But so long as it's this year, I'll then next go to the next highest one. And so that I'm giving you the highest scores and my reviews of those. Yes, Pet, great book. Highly recommend. Here, the awards on here are the Walter Dean Myers Honor Award for Outstanding Children's Literature, the Stonewall Honor Book from the American Library Association, and a National Book Award finalist. So, thanks a bunch to Bowties and Books. I first heard about this from them, from Jesse there, and I know I've seen several other people recommend it as well, but I think that it was Jesse's review that finally hit it home for me. I think Jesse might have talked about the house in here being their favorite character, and I don't disagree. Jam's relationship with her house is really great and is part of how I feel so seen by this book. I don't know that I could express how, but there is that. So yeah, I was looking back at my book purchasing, and I realized that I've done generally a very good job of not ordering a bunch of books now that I've started this YouTube channel, and I was worried about that. But apparently, Jesse's just apparently really great at selling Akwaeke Emezi, and so I have bought 3 books by them, Pet and Freshwater, and then I also pre-ordered the one that's going to be coming out in August, I believe. So that's fine. Turned out well. I'm really excited. The other 2 books are intended for an adult audience, and so I'm probably going to like them as well. Or, maybe it'll be too much. I don't know. We'll see. The next ones on my list to review, provided nothing take their place while I'm getting ready for my next review, is actually a tie. We have Brown Girl Dreaming by Jacqueline Woodson and Kindred by Octavia E. Butler. I don't know whether I'm going to just flip a coin to see which one comes up next, or if I try to do a double one. If you have an opinion on that, go ahead and leave a comment. Yeah, that sounds good. Have you read Pet? What did you think? Don't spoil things, or if you do, put spoiler and then just hit enter a whole bunch of times so that it hides it from anybody who doesn't want to see it. Yeah, and if you have listened this far, please put an animal emoji in the description or tell me what your favorite animal is. All right, have a great day. I hope that you are all safe and well. Take care.